Congratulations on an amazing event. It was awesome.
It was fantastic.
Absolutely, great event. Muchísimas gracias.
Great event.
All right, so we are officially live on YouTube right now, just waiting for CJ to join us. We'll give it a couple of minutes for other people to join us. I see a lot of familiar faces. Brent, how are you?
Doing great. Congratulations, Alejandro. Amazing event. Really fantastic presenters, and you did a great job, as well as everybody did. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I saw that Brent, the OG influencer, was on social media, just like hashtagging away. I appreciate that.
Tried to do my part.
I appreciate it. We've got a super fun lineup for the after show. Very excited to get started here once everybody's able to join us. But I just want to say, Eliana, thank you. Andrea, loved it. Saw you on social media. I was like, copy and paste everything you were saying. I was like, I need these words. She's way smarter than I am.
Typing away.
Super appreciate it. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
We're friends.
Brian, welcome. Nicholas, you're here streaming live from an undisclosed location. How's it going? Rafael, good to see you. Deja, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Fire. I was following you on social media.
All right.
I was like, can I be in the next TV Girl Gang?
Yeah, anytime, anytime.
Okay, perfect. I'm all about it. Okay, cool. And Rafaela, oh, there you are. Rafaela, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
Bien, how are you? Thank you. And it was incredible show today.
Thank you. So Rafaela Schwan is tuning in from Texas. Very happy to have you joining us. Bree, I see your face. Are you in Texas right now?
Yes, just got back.
Okay.
Hi, Alejandro. Great job.
Thanks. Were you tuning in?
Yes, all day. I loved it.
Yeah, same. I felt like I was so kind of worried. I was like, okay, either I'm going to be super bored and I'll be sitting on this couch, but I felt like even me that had like seen all these things, I was like interested. I was like, you know what? That's interesting. That's an interesting point. Thanks for sharing that. So I hope that you guys all had a similar experience. Okay, perfect. Looks like we've got CJ that's tuning in. Okay, perfect. And let me just check that everybody got that email. I guess if people are tuned in, then they probably got the email with the link, right?
Yes.
Yep, everybody got the link. Okay, perfect. So I say let's just jump in. You know, I just want to start by saying thank you to all of you guys for tuning in. It was so fun. I think this whole program has been a labor of love, right? Just for our community and to kind of raise awareness about these important issues and to really kind of raise the tide for diverse digital inclusion advocates across the country and to feature some of the impressive work that a lot of our ATDP member organizations are leading nationwide. And so I actually just kind of want to start this, this little kind of live after show by introducing to you guys one of our amazing ATDP partner organizations, SARE Jobs for Progress, and specifically Rafaela Schwan, who is the Vice President of Programs and Operations for SARE. Prior to her position at SARE, she served in several management and leadership positions in STEM, organizing kind of like Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. She's got like a ton of awards, and most importantly, she runs what I really think is one of the most successful like youth, specifically Latino-focused STEM programs that I really have seen. They host an amazing kind of yearly community events. They host robotics sprints. And so I want to start by just playing a quick little clip that kind of features some of their work. And then I'll invite Rafaela to tell us a little bit more about SARE National and kind of what they have planned for 2021. So give me 1 second while I share my screen and we will get into it.
First Robotics prepares students in the future for having organizational skills, having time management skills. We stay after school for hours on end.
It really opens a student's mind on what they believe is possible.
It helps you think more critically, and it helps you think under pressure, which you're going to be needing in the future.
Through the robotics program, I've learned how to work as a team with other people with different perspectives.
If I do get a scholarship from participating in robotics, it would really contribute to my family since we don't make much money.
Well, being part of the robotics team has made me grow as a person and also interact and network.
I'm learning to program, build. Our biggest success is making sure my team focus more on the game, the robot, and don't give up and try doing your best.
First robotics club has definitely helped me broaden my thoughts on what I can become.
The partnership with SAD and our Sunset High School and Robotics program has been a phenomenal opportunity for our students and for our sponsors. It's allowed them an opportunity to really work alongside some experts in the field. They've come to the campus and mentored our students, provided workshop opportunities, both on-site and off-site, and also opportunities for them to compete.
So they're learning all about what it means to create a product, marketing that product, engineering and designing the product, and then competing.
So our students are split into different groups. Some of them have some interest in learning how to program. Some of them want to learn the mechanical aspects of the robot. Some of them want to learn about the electrical wiring.
We cut everything, we obtain the objects, we program our robot, and we just do it all from scratch.
Giving our students an opportunity to engage in that level of technology, to engage in that level of the work that will potentially set their life on a trajectory that will be beneficial to them and their families for generations to come, is terrific.
I would like to thank our sponsors for being able to support us, being able to go into worlds, regionals, and our qualification matches. Without them, we wouldn't have the proper tools to build such an amazing robot to advance us.
They have done a great job of investing in our communities and making sure that our students know that this is not a one and done deal, right? That we have a commitment from partners to continue to better the opportunities that we provide for them on campus.
Rafaela, that was amazing.
Thank you. You know, it's always for me, it's kind of something that I always feel really great when I get to see the students and when they talk, when we meet them at the beginning of the year and they're really shy and timid and they don't want to talk and they don't really know how engaged they want to be. And by the end of the year, because this is a year-round program, they're really talking, they're programming the robots, they're so excited, they're looking at what universities they're gonna attend. So it's amazing. So I'll share a little bit of the incredible success that we've had with our robotics program, for example. And SARE, has been in existence, for those of you that might not know who we are, since 1964. It was created by two organizations, the GI Forum and LULAC, which a lot of you are familiar and might be familiar with both. And really started to focus a lot on education, to really assist the Latino community. And in reality, I tell people we really assist the underserved population, because it depends on the areas that we are, the population that we're working with. If we're in Detroit, obviously we're working with a larger African-American population. If we're in New Mexico, we're working with a Native American and Hispanic population. Dallas, California, it's a larger number of Hispanics that we have in our program. So we truly represent the community of the locations that we are at, and we're servicing and supporting. Now, the video that you just saw happened to be here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And what's really amazing is that one of our robotics teams is an all-girls team. So it's incredible to see where the girls are doing that and then really working, programming, and building the robot. Some of those students are now at MIT, they're at Notre Dame, they're at UT Austin, they're community colleges. And I can say that we're very proud of the fact that every one of our students that has pursued higher education, 100% have gone into STEM education. So it's really good to see that our community is going to be, and it's helping the future engineers and scientists. So what you didn't see in that, and you might have not been able to tell, besides the fact that we have an all-girls team, we also have a group of students that are all disabilities. And when we went to that school at Sunset in Dallas, the students came to us and asked, they asked Ignacio Salazar and myself were working with the principals to get the team started. And they came and said, we know that you guys work with robotics teams and we want to have our own team. And we were hesitant at the beginning to have two different teams, the team that we were already working with, and then a new team of students with our disabilities. But once we got started, we quickly realized that it was the right thing to do. And I'll share with you a little bit of why I think it was the right thing for us to do and have two different teams. Because the first year that we started working with the students with disabilities, we had some of the mentors that came back to us and said, Rafaela, I really cannot work with the students. And it wasn't anything bad. It's just that they wanted to do everything for them. They need a little bit more help. So I feel like I want to do more for them. And it really takes a special person to mentor those students because they need to be able to help them, but let them do everything for themselves. Be able to get them engaged and assist them so they know that they can do the robot. So it's amazing when you see the students that are building the robots, that they come back to you, that they challenge you. And I will tell you that I always tell people the students that challenge me the most are the students with disability, because right after we had our first year working with them, they came back to us and said, okay, now we need you to help us find jobs. And I'm like, wow, you guys are not even, really gone through the whole year of the program. And they're already coming to us and say, now we need jobs. We don't just want to do robotics. Now we need to go in and you need to help us go find jobs so we can do that. So it is amazing the opportunities that we've been able to do. But, more and more of the mentors also tell us, and I always encourage people, so if you're interested, if you're in the DFW area and we're expanding to Chicago, Houston, so you can talk to us about that. We want mentors that are interested in helping these students because we definitely want all of our mentors, all of the people that volunteer to look like the population that we're servicing. That's a year-round program. It's a little bit more commitment for the mentors that want to work with us because we want you to be, a consistent face that they see in the school. There's opportunities for you to work with us in a shorter time frame. We just had 2 weeks ago, just before the Thanksgiving weekend, we had our community day. We're really excited that we had 28 states represented. We had 28 states, Puerto Rico, DC, and Mexico represented in our community day. So we had over 40 middle and high school students from across those locations. They actually were able to build a car. So we had a huge production. We mailed them a kit that they could build. There were 4 STEM activities that they could work on. 3 of them were a little bit easier. The 4th one was they had to build a car. So at the same time, in 28 states, DC, Puerto Rico, the students were able to build a car, and then they had to submit it to us so we can judge it. So we're actually having all the judges currently judging the cars that were submitted to us. We will be announcing on December 8th at 2:00 Eastern. So if any of you want to see that, who the first, second, and third prize were of the competition that we had across the country on the 20th of November. So there's an opportunity for you to do that. And that program happened. And we had, anyone that's in DC, Florida, New York, California, Arizona, New Mexico. So we're always really pleased on the fact that more and more states are being represented in all of the programs that we have. We had individuals that were talking to the students that look like them. We had Jose Hernandez, an ESA astronaut who some of you might be familiar, but we also had Danny Olivas, who's another astronaut that spoke to the students. And so it's a really great opportunity for them. We had Dr. Dan Arvizu, who's the chancellor of the New Mexico State, New Mexico State University system. And he's a Latino, so it's really great for the students to see individuals in just about any facet, whether it's academia, whether it's in corporations in America, really doing and excel in areas that they can pursue. So what we try to do is let our community know that they can see themselves in any job, that all it takes is a little bit of hard work and ganas to be able to do anything they want and accomplish anything they want to do. And SARE has been really committed to help the community to achieve those goals by providing resources, whether it's just providing mentoring, whether it's providing the opportunity or whether it's just helping them start dreaming, knowing that they can do anything they want to do.
That is amazing. For all of you guys that do not yet know our friends at SARE, follow them on Facebook. If you ever in Texas and get a chance to check out their community days, I've seen the videos. I haven't yet had a chance to go because of COVID, but I mean, their robotics camps and their events look amazing, and they are really engaging so many diverse, young, talented people across the country to really get them into STEM. So Rafaela, thank you so much for being a great partner with SARE, for being a part of the HETP family, and for joining us here today. Really love and appreciate you and the work that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I actually just saw that one of our underwriting partners joined. Jackie Puente, is she on?
Hello.
Jackie, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm great. I'm fantastic. And I keep saying this, but not seeing everyone's faces for so long in real life, it's been lovely to hear and see everyone throughout the program this afternoon. And I can't wait for you to send me one of those sweatshirts.
Right?
I can't wait.
It's in the mail.
I love that. But it was a great program today, Alejandra. Thank you for all of your work and for everyone for putting this together.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, Jackie. So, I mean, I just wanted to kind of start the live kind of like after show by featuring another one of our partners, which is SARE. But as you guys probably noticed, anybody that was kind of watching along or following along on social media, we had a hashtag Fire Hype crew hyping up the event, joining the conversation, and that was all kind of help being led by the amazing CJ Johnson. So I want to just kind of turn the mic over to him to kind of talk about, get his reaction to the program and kind of introduce and some of our amazing kind of people and comments from social media throughout the day. So CJ, it's all yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Echoing what everybody else said, you did a wonderful job. I'm still waiting on my sweatshirt.
Yes.
I obviously want to get that Fire sweatshirt. And yeah, thank you so much for having us be a part of the conversation. I was joined by Ileana Murillo, Deja Fox, Andrea K. Castillo, and it was awesome. A lot of really insightful conversations. The programming was very well done, well executed. I don't know how you guys were able to pull off that nice little tight flow that you guys did, but you guys did a wonderful job. And yeah, this is a happy hour. So I'm going to hand it over to Ileana to talk a little bit about the tequila line that she has, because obviously what's happy hour without tequila? And then I'm going to slip on this pair of fake glasses, because if you were paying attention, everybody was wearing amazing eyeglasses the entire summit. It was amazing. I see some of you are looking fly. Nicholas, what's up, bro? Always looking good. Brian, always looking good. Yeah, let's get it going.
Thank you, CJ. Also, a round of applause for CJ. He kicked it off amazingly. I learned about Jitsi today more than I ever thought I'd learn about it. And he just did an amazing job in coordinating with us for being social media ambassadors. And I feel like you just set me up, CJ, in the best way possible. Thanks for the layup, because this is my family's tequila, which I'll tell you all about. But it was co-founded, my family and I, we started it. But my dad, being the visionary, he's actually an optometrist. So he would have loved to hear you say, like, hyping up glasses, because growing up, they weren't as trendy, and now everyone wears glasses. I have contacts in, but otherwise I'd be wearing mine too. Anyway, so I'm really excited to be here because I got pulled into the mix from the tech background. I'll tell you the backstory. I'm in the tequila industry. So I do tequila, and I did 10 years at Google in tech. And so this conversation today, every single part of it was awesome. I'll pause there to say, if you're enjoying something at home, water or otherwise, please make sure you're having that. Like this, if we're gonna do a cheers at some point, we should make sure everyone's prepared for it. So we can cheers when we talk a little bit more. But so the conversation was really remarkable to me, because it's one we don't have enough. And I think that what made it beautiful was that people had personal connections to so many parts of it. People, I mean, I was tweeting and people responded saying, I was that kid doing homework outside of Taco Bell, outside of McDonald's, right? Like, even if we're in the industry now, even if we've charted a different course than our families ever imagined, those experiences are real. And something that came to mind for me was to the point that was made about going into communities and seeing when they're connected. I loved hearing that because that's what drove a lot of the work I did at Google, is actually seeing someone for the first time make their first Google search or YouTube search and realize they can find anything online. And it's like possibilities are endless. And that just really meant a lot to me to see how people brought it together and the diversity of perspectives. Even though it is obviously the Latino narrative was very much at the forefront of this conversation, I love that it was so inclusive, that everyone was a part of it. And I really love that the conversation around small businesses was a part of it. So that's where I'll segue into my story. And if you have anything to celebrate with, I will say we're doing a giveaway. I'll let CJ tell us more about how we win the prize. But I had said we would do a flight of all of our tequilas, but for the winner, we'll say either a full-size bottle, if you have one type you like. We have 5. We have Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, Extra Añejo, 6 years, and then a 14-year Extra Añejo, Reserva de Oro. So either a full-size bottle or the flight. But CJ, do you want to talk about how people can win?
You should talk about that, because I'm probably gonna have a sip of this tequila myself. You know,
he's like, I gave you the mic, keep it.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do is CJ is going to be monitoring the questions in the chat and is going to be going through all of us that joined us on social media. Ask a question, jump in, tag HETP, and between kind of like our hype team, they're going to choose a winner, and then we'll get in contact with you, and you will get a beautiful tequila holiday surprise in the mail just in time for the holidays.
Can I ask a rude question, Alejandro? Can we revisit sponsor benefits after this with the tequilas?
Okay. That's
Thank
good.
you. I'm just going to pose that out there. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Jackie's ready for her swag bag tequila included in her benefits.
We'll
So
make
leaving
that
it back to you. I love the idea of
Where's
doing
the-
a toast, doing
where's the
it here.
sweatshirt swag?
So maybe let's all like serve ourselves a drink. I'm doing my little, Bon V, which I love. So yeah, if everyone wants to like grab a drink, it's got a cup nearby. Let's do it, and we'll cheers to a great event and to all of you guys for joining us.
I see Deja looking around. She's like, I don't have anything. I'm just
Deja's 20 years old, so.
Oh yeah, we don't endorse that.
There's that.
Water, juice, agua fresca, whatever you have.
I
Salud
love
to all
it.
of you for joining
What do you have there?
Okay, Eliana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Sounds good. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself in case they were gonna, win by saying the most interesting thing I've said or something, whatever stands out, but I'm kidding. So this is my family's tequila Alquimia, and it's alchemy in Spanish. So if you've read The Alchemist, it's about following your dreams, finding your personal legend, but also the art of making gold. And so we like to say that we made liquid gold out of all natural elements because it's organic, USDA certified, completely sustainable, and we contribute 20% of all of our sales to causes that we love. So from supporting farm workers to Black Lives Matter, causes that align with our values as a family-owned company. And there are actually very few tequila companies that are still owned by Mexicans at all, because they usually get acquired or don't last very long. So it's a labor of love. It is definitely part of our herencia. We're really proud to create something that can only be made in Mexico. And yeah, it's really special for us. And I'm excited to share this, being that, like I said, the small business conversation around access was really interesting for me. This is a small business that we created. It started as a family project, turned into a business. We never thought we'd get into the spirits industry. We had land. My abuelito had land in Mexico before he passed away, where my dad was born in near Arandas, Jalisco, Mexico. And like many of our families, came to the US to pursue the dream and they intended to go back. But once you're here and you kind of start to get into school and everything else, life took a different turn. And so when it was time for him to pass on, he, really, my mom convinced my dad, the Latinas in the room, the ones that move the neck, right? If you've seen the movie, Big Back Wedding. So she convinced my dad to tell my abuelito, please don't sell the land. My great grandparents worked too hard to buy that land. And with it, we decided to grow agave. It's a very relatively simple crop to grow because it doesn't need a lot of rainfall and so forth. Thank you for the question on how you can purchase. So let me ask you first, if you'll follow us on Instagram at Tequila Alquimia or on Facebook, and the link to order is at the top. And if you message me in my element, INMYELIMENT, I'll shoot me a message and I'll send you more info on how to order and get something special from us just for this crowd right now. So this started as a family project. It came out of almost necessity of let's figure out what to do with this land. My dad figured out how to make this possible. And it was sort of before Google, right? He was reading books. He couldn't just Google it to figure out how to do this, and learn the ins and outs of how to create tequila, how to grow organic agave, and then how to import it every step of the way. And when I got to Google 10 years ago, it was in September 2010, I don't know if this resonates for any of you, I had imposter syndrome at the beginning and thought, I'm in another world. How will my experience ever relate? And just try to keep swimming. And there was a moment when I finally realized in meetings about small businesses, about using tech to help small businesses, teaching small businesses about, or like actual marketing, not so much teaching, actual marketing to promote platforms like analytics and AdWords. And I had a seat at the table. I was the one, right? I was the one Latina, the one woman of color, the only woman at the table sometimes. And there was a moment when I realized that what they wanted to do, what they wanted to market to businesses, thank you for putting the link. It's useful for many businesses, but I thought that's not relevant to my family's small business. I had to convince my dad to get a website once upon a time. Like that was even far-fetched, and it's like, if you don't have a website, you're essentially invisible. As we know, everyone's Googling things or searching on platforms, social media to find products and so forth. So my imposter syndrome, it was like the cure to my imposter syndrome was when I realized that I could talk about my family small business and share perspective of what it's like to really own a business and how you have so much to do. The to-do list is never ending. So to do these cute digital things, unless you have someone guiding you or it's positioned in a way that helps the business know, oh, this is going to help me grow, scale, it doesn't really feel relevant, right? And so I started speaking up a lot, and through that was able to found the multicultural marketing team, was able to create a lot of programs that actually were mentioned in today's conversation. Code as a second language with the Hispanic Heritage Foundation, a ton of programs with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and LULAC. I mean, it was like a family reunion watching everyone speak because we've collaborated over the years in so many ways. I don't even think CJ knows that. Like, I go so far back with Brent and Tony Tijerino and like so many people here. So it was really, really beautiful and powerful to see that. And now I'm here in a different capacity from a tequila perspective, because I decided that after so many years advocating for diverse small businesses who inspire me so much, I thought it's time for me to be on the other side and focus on two things. So family business with tequila, but also now having my own tech startup. So developing apps that hopefully you'll see in 2021. But anyway, that's the backstory. That's kind of how I got plugged into things, and was just so, I was like, I'm having such a full circle moment because I left Google in July and I didn't get to say goodbye to a lot of industry peers because of COVID. We didn't get to do the last hurrah of like, there's kind of conference cycles, and you do the USHCC and LULAC and all these different groups that I used to love being a part of. And then it was like, well, all right, it was like leaving Google was one thing, but leaving this capacity in tech was another. But now as a startup founder, it's a little different. And so getting to hear everyone's perspective today was so awesome. And it's the work that I think continues. And the last component is about 4 or 5 years ago, I think we're going on 5 now, I co-founded the Latinos in Tech Giving Circle in the Bay Area. So if anyone's in the Bay, please let me know. I'm still very actively involved. So we, as a group, we each contribute funds every year, and then we vote on themes we care about. So for us, definitely access is a huge one for us. We also look at, K-12 education, all types of different themes. Every year we pivot as needed, and sometimes even civic engagement, depending on what year it is. And then we nominate nonprofits to get grants from us. And it's so beautiful to think that we each contribute our piece, but we get to vote on $30,000, $50,000 grants distributed to organizations. And we are one of a number of circles that it's all through the Latino Community Foundation. And so collectively, our network of circles has contributed over $1 million to Latino serving nonprofits in California. And then we're already kind of expanding beyond that. So anyway, it's a labor of love, like I said, again, in this case, addressing things like access to students, to small businesses. And so again, cheers to all of you for doing the work and for keeping the conversation going. So salud.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And here's to an inclusive tech future. Thank you guys so much. So I actually want to kind of turn the mic over to Deja and Andrea. Like I said, you guys were engaging all of us on social media, really kind of helping to translate and build a bridge to like the real kind of personal impact of these tech and telecom issues. So I'd love to kind of jump in, Deja, Andrea, whoever wants to go first, and kind of share, what did you think of the program, and what would you like to see more of, right? And what's at stake for our communities?
I can go ahead and get started.
Oh, you can start. You can start.
Thanks. As someone who is, doing all my work from home, Zooming in to my college education currently, all of these things feel very close to my present day life. But getting to hear, so many diverse perspectives about access, and, there was this line about students doing their homework in Taco Bell parking lots. All of that felt so relevant to my life even 5-10 years ago. So a little bit of context about me. I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. I was raised by a single mom, and I lived in a household like a lot of others where, we struggled to put food on the table, and we lived in Section 8 housing, and we didn't have Wi-Fi, and I didn't have a computer at home, and I used the public library down the street to do all my homework or my phone. And, those are stories that I don't hear very often, and issues that I don't hear addressed, but were very much a part of, my upbringing. And I've been really blessed, in the past year. I bought my very first computer, the computer I'm on right now, when I got to college 2 years ago. I say that to say that when I went viral for the first time at 16, when I did my college applications, when I, got the grades that got me in to Columbia University, where I'm now the first in my family to go to college, I did all of that on my phone or on a computer elsewhere. And so just thinking now, especially in this coronavirus or in this pandemic, that there's so many young people out there that are in the position I was in, that are struggling to do things from home, that are trying to figure this out, and just really bringing that home and that personal aspect of what it would have been like to be me 5 years ago, and what a big part technology and internet access have played in my life, and continue to play. I was someone who didn't have access, but my career path has really taken me down one that is very tech heavy. I'm signed to Ford Models as a digital creator. I worked on the Kamala Harris campaign as an influencer and surrogate strategist on her digital team. Now I work at one of the largest digital focused PACs called Acronym. And tech is just so much a part of my life that it's almost hard to remember that just, 3 years ago, I didn't even have my own laptop. And it really is that quick of a turnaround. And I think that underscores why the work you all do is so important.
Awesome, thank you. Andrea?
Hey, everyone. Just to introduce myself really quickly, I'm Andrea. I'm the founder of actually Cask Rum Beverages, which is a bottled rum cocktail company. So that's
we're all getting rum and we're all getting tequila next time. We're making a plan right now.
I mean, we have a little ways to go, but I started this myself. So, a few generations from now, my grandchild will have the story like Eliana has, I hope. So I'm first generation. My parents are from Belize, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, still here. I am from a family that's full of educators. My parents met as teachers in Belize. My grandmother was a teacher there. My aunt also worked there. So in listening to the program and actually seeing my parents now, like dealing with distance learning, that really hit home because like the question I would ask them all the time is, what about, the children that have many siblings and they only have one device and may live in a space where they don't have broadband access? How is everyone learning throughout the day? So that really hit home to me. I liked that point came across in many different discussions. I am also, I guess, a bit afraid to see how this will pan out because I feel like I was actually mentioning this to CJ, that it's really showing the digital divide of the have and have nots. I fear that the lower income students will greatly fall behind because of, you know, lack of access to technology, as well as, you know, Wi-Fi for all. That's something I would love to see at some point. But that's really what I connected with the most throughout the program. And I'm glad that there are many different initiatives that are working to alleviate this, but I know it's going to take some time, but glad that it's being discussed.
Awesome. So yeah, please follow Eliana, follow Deja, follow CJ, follow Andrea. And I think that one of the things that I personally really loved about the summit was it really was a collaborative effort from a lot of different partners, a lot of friends of friends. And specifically, I think if you look at the visual identity of the summit, that also has its own kind of personal story, right? So I really wanted to invite Rafael Mendidos, who was actually the graphic designer that designed kind of like the imagery for the summit, because him and I met on Instagram, right? We were in the midst of the George Floyd protest, right? And everywhere I looked online, there was these incredible signs that just said, you know, it's time for all of us to be anti-racist. Let's create a better world together, right? And I saw, there you go. I saw them everywhere.
Wow.
And then I found out that like there was this kind of like Latino artist that kind of just put these things together, put them out into the world, and just partnered with different printing organizations across the country to distribute these for free for anybody that wanted them. And so I think that I also want to mention that tagline that we ended up with, you know, about the future is digital, it's personal. That was actually a tagline that Rafael came up with after we initially kind of talked through the concept. And so that really kind of informed my thinking about how to really approach these issues throughout the summit program. So I wanted to kind of hand the microphone over to Rafael to talk a little bit about himself, his journey, and maybe what he loved about the program or why he decided to kind of take us on as a small nonprofit partner. You'll hear how amazing he is and how fortunate we were to get him to work with us. So Rafael, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Alejandro. Can you all guys hear me okay? Perfect. That was exactly it. That's how we met. We met very digitally. And I'm so glad that it worked out this way. And I'm very thankful for you to have put the trust you did in myself to develop the brand identity of the program. I really had fun doing the work, and I'm glad that you guys are also enjoying it. Like some of you have mentioned Alejandro's sweater. So I designed like a lot of the visuals that you guys saw on the broadcast, the swag bags that you'll be getting. And it was great to connect via this project that I did that was very personal. So basically, like to give you a little bit of background, I'm from Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil. I moved to LA. I'm based in LA right now. And I moved here, it's been almost 9 years. It's gonna go for 9 years soon. Worked very hard. I graduated in graphic design in Brazil, and worked very hard at creative agencies, design studios. I've done a lot of, worked a lot on campaigns for streaming shows, especially like being in LA is so, the entertainment industry is so strong. And that's the industry that I found myself in. And then, sorry, were you gonna say something, Alejandro?
No, you're good to go.
Okay, it's just like the little Zoom window like popped. No problems, I'll carry on. So after these years working at agencies, I started feeling like I could do a little bit more to my community and help people directly and have a bigger impact on work and causes that are a little bit more meaningful to me than the big show that's on Netflix, like the big entertainment advertising campaigns that or going around LA. So since this year, I started on my own, basically. I'm an independent graphic designer and graphic artist. I'll send you guys my website and my Instagram handle here in the chat. So basically, when the George Floyd incident happened, and I had this now time and capability to do something about it, I really wanted to. So I combined, like the experience that I've had working in digital agencies to put out into the world a campaign against racism. So I used a lot of like techniques from like big campaigns to spread that message, and it really worked. I was surprised with like how well it worked, because I initially in my mind I'm gonna try this thing, and I had no idea the level of supports that I was gonna get. And I did get a lot of support nationally across the entire country, a lot of print shops. I basically like emailed a lot of print shops this presentation, this Google slideshow that had posters and stickers and a lot of assets that they could either use in print or digital. And I started getting support. A lot of people printed stickers, posters on their own costs. I distributed them, mailed them, went to drop off at a few organizations in LA. Some people came to my address to pick up some of these assets. That's how I mailed some to Alejandro. Alejandro found the project interesting. Like, we got in touch, and that was 6 months ago. So that's how, when we started our work relationship, we started talking about the Digital Inclusion Summit. Like, he asked like if I could and was interested in helping him define a little bit of like the visual identity, and we started from there. But it was a great project. I'm like super proud of it and super happy and proud to see it unfold during the whole broadcast.
Awesome. So definitely follow him also on Instagram. This guy's always got amazing projects going on. If you ever need a serious designer for an amazing project, reach out. I've worked with a lot of different vendors and designers, and he's like so responsive. Like, whatever I needed, he's all like, yes, of course, let's get it done. And you guys all saw the amazing Instagram stickers. That was also his work. He helped me upload that, make that possible. And it took, like, from my experience, like 2 seconds, right? I don't know the actual work that it took to make it happen. For me, it was like almost instantaneous. So thank you, Rafael, so much for your time and your talent, for joining us today. HETP is definitely a fan, and we look forward to many projects in the future.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, guys.
Of course. And so I wanted to kind of like turn the time over to a good friend of HETP, Nicholas Wiggins and Brian Howard. Nicholas Wiggins also is a strategist, a planner, and he's the senior consultant for values partnerships. And he helps to kind of develop creative engagement campaigns for diverse sectors and audiences. And so he really has a really kind of keen eye and is really tuned into this idea of the power of representation in the media. Brian Howard, on the other hand, is a senior policy analyst for the United South and Eastern Tribes. And so he also has a lot of insight into what digital inclusion and digital equity means for tribal communities. So I'd love to kind of close out our time tonight by just kind of like passing the mic to Nicholas and Brian to kind of share with us any standouts in the program, or anything, or any kind of questions that we should consider as we kind of move forward as digital inclusion advocates today and into the future.
Well, thank you, Alejandro. And as I said in the chat, I just show up wherever you tell me to. And why wouldn't I? Because today was such an amazing set of programming with so many really well flushed conversations about representation overall. And from representation in the media, I think what we understand is that tech has sort of given us entree into opportunities and allow us to set sort of the next wave of writers, directors, producers through the simple use of a phone. And so obviously your organization works to ensure that everyone has the right access points to these things, but this is where it begins. And then the next level of conversation, as April talked about today, my good friend April Rain, is that when we have these seats at the table, that we must find ways to make sure that we are continuing to increase representation. I mean, we still know that in 2019, if we look at the numbers, the top 100 films, Black characters with speaking roles, Hispanic characters with speaking roles, they are not at the numbers that represent truly what our country, nation, world looks like. And so we have to continue to use our seat at the table to increase representation. And so I thought today was wonderful. I know that it wasn't totally about representation in the media, but particularly everything that was talked about speaks to the fact that if we continue to focus in and hone in on tech policy issues, that we will strengthen the opportunity to be fully representative in the media landscape.
Awesome. So for sure, also follow this guy. If you want to get invited, well, I guess before COVID, to all the sexy movie premieres with like diverse talent, like this is the guy, he's the hookup. I feel like everybody on this panel is so modest, but check him out on Instagram. He's always posting crazy, awesome things that I always want to be a part of. So please tune in to everything that he's doing online and reach out and be friends because he's a good person. I could definitely vouch for that. So thank you so much for sharing that. So Brian, we saw Representative Deb Haaland give some speaker remarks to talk about the digital divide on tribal communities. I know that you have a lot of experience specifically kind of working with that community and have conducted quite a bit of research, right, into what digital equity means specifically on tribal lands. So I'd love to kind of pass you the mic to kind of share some insight, maybe some things that we might not know about. And yeah, so Howard, Brian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Movasapa, thank you. Yeah, very great program. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tune in for most of it. Some of the sessions that I was able to view online definitely hit a lot of key issue areas that tribes may not necessarily be thinking of or involved in certain conversations around, or other emerging issues such as the deployment of 5G and certain concerns related to that. Ironically, today, one of the reasons why I couldn't attend the full session was because the Department of the Interior was hosting a tribal consultation on the banning of foreign Chinese equipment, telecommunications equipment, telecommunications software, and how these Chinese companies have been really pursuing tribes to buy their services and buy their technologies. And if you're not familiar with this, back in under the 2019 National Defense and Authorization Act, there was language included in that act that prohibited the federal government from dispersing any type of federal funding to support the purchase of those Chinese company technologies. And it's becoming an issue for tribes because a lot of these companies are now targeting tribal nations and their infrastructure. There are concerns with a tribe purchasing such equipment and being open to malware attacks and different cybersecurity threats associated with those technologies. And so it was interesting to be kind of one foot in this presentation world that you had going on today, but then also working in my current position and capacity in attending this tribal consultation. And it raised a lot of kind of historical work reminders that I've participated in the past. I've been working on tribal telecommunications and technology issues for the past decade. Initially, I was with the National Congress of American Indians. Then I joined the Arizona State University American Indian Policy Institute, where I conducted a couple of research publications around the digital divide and issues around the lack of reliable data regarding internet service capabilities on tribal lands, and even the lack of data around what the actual adoption rates are. You know, one of the conversations we always stressed in those research projects was that just because internet service was available within our communities didn't necessarily mean it was affordable for our communities. And so there's that real kind of misunderstanding about what having access to the internet means for our communities. And so I just left my position at the American Indian Policy Institute, and so I'm with the United South and Eastern Tribes Sovereignty Protection Fund. I just started at the end of October, but I'm still pretty involved in a lot of these telecommunications and technology discussions based on the past 10 years work that I've been doing. And it's becoming increasingly more important. I mean, I've seen this issue grow in terms of understanding and monitoring for tribal communities. And I'll tell you two stories in particular based on my previous work with the National Congress of American Indians. One of the issues that came up when I was employed for NCAI was the FCC had started reforming and modernizing its Universal Service Fund programs. And one of those programs was the E-rate, the Schools and Libraries program. And I remember in the first iteration of that rulemaking, several beneficial tribal proposals were included in the proposed regulations. But we, even as an organization representing the now 574 federally recognized tribes within the nation, had issues with getting tribes to participate in that docket proceeding and filing comments in support of, you know, those beneficial proposed changes that the FCC was trying to push at the time. And I remember one conversation in particular where I was talking with a tribal leader from the Pacific Northwest, and you know, trying to get him to file comments representing his tribal nation. And he said, well, our school has a T1 line, so we have internet access. This was back in 2013, 2014. And we lost out on a lot of beneficial proposals in that rulemaking once that rulemaking had concluded. A year or two later, a second iteration of that rulemaking was brought up, and we had tribes flooding us, wanting to participate in the docket. And the major reasoning behind that was because No Child Left Behind was being implemented, and standardized testing went online. So we were having tribes come to us saying, well, we can only test one student at a time within our school because that's all our internet connection can support. And so really and one of the reasons why I really got involved in telecommunications issues, not having a specific technology or engineering background, was because of those issues that would creep up in legislation and regulatory rulemakings where tribes aren't necessarily thought of, and how these implications, how these laws and regulations are implemented and what the implications mean for tribal communities, because there's such a vast digital divide within Indian country. And many times, you know, in the work that I've done, I found that there's just been this hesitation about wanting to get more involved in that area because, you know, our tribal nations are so focused on so many other issues that really are decided within the federal sphere of lawmaking and rulemaking. And so there's this overwhelming kind of feeling where tribes are already stretched so thin in terms of resources and in terms of monies available to hire consultants and you know, engineering experts to really develop those feasibility studies and deployment studies needed to actually identify where telecommunication services are needed within their communities. And so really how I got involved in this area was, again, working for NCAI, which was a nonprofit organization, and now, and then going into academia and working within that sphere of influence, and now being back in the nonprofit world and, assuming that responsibility of being an advocate for our tribal nations and ensuring that when these laws and regulations are being considered, being written, being implemented, that tribes are appropriately thought of, because the federal government is our fiduciary trustee. And there are treaties and laws and Supreme Court rulings in place that have recognized the federal government's role and responsibility to tribal nations in exchange for the cessation of our Aboriginal homelands and countless other unfortunate genocidal and assimilationist practices that have occurred over the past, predating the United States and even continuing through this country's history. So definitely enjoyed a lot of the conversations I was able to view today. I think they are very important. I know that when I was at ASU, we became bombarded once the pandemic hit because there were a lot of different telecommunications companies that were wanting to work with the university to deploy wireless and wireline broadband internet service within the state of Arizona, and wanted to figure out how to work with tribal communities. And with the pandemic, it's really just emphasized those issues that have been occurring for the past 10 to 20 years now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. And look out for, Brian and I have been looking for an excuse to collaborate and to host a conversation specifically about the digital divide in tribal land. So look out for that. Please make sure to follow HEDP on our social. And I think that we have one more comment before we go. Jackie, did you want to jump in?
I just wanted to say thank you. And Brian, your comments were spot on. And I think actually closing the day out with this, it's a sobering note, right? To think about these real world challenges that people are facing now. And especially, this is not new. The pandemic has, if anything, put a spotlight on this. And I think one of the reasons why at 7:30, I look like I've been alive for a million hours. I'm here teaching third grade and doing my job, and I have it probably better than most, here in suburban Maryland. But I think that there's a legitimate conversation that we're having here, and it's so amazing to see everyone's hanging on until this moment, who are so passionate about their work. And I hope that, as we've made it through 2020 and we've made it through this year, that as we're pushing forward into 2021, that this group continues to come to the table and have these conversations. We've done, and I say this on behalf of Comcast, where we've done so much this year to help try to crush this digital divide, but it is the enormity of the situation that we're facing cannot be underscored. And when I see all of the partners that show up and stay for the full program, tequila or no tequila, and I'm very excited about this tequila for the record, but not just the prospect of tequila keeping us here to talk about these super critical beyond infrastructure. These are really the underpinnings of our society and where we're going forward. To see everyone working on this is just beyond inspiring. And really, Deja, to hear your story and the work that you're doing and how you've gone, how in 3 years you're advising, vice presidents and presidential campaigns, right? Alejandro, you haven't just changed the fashion world today with Raphael, but I think legitimately, we've sparked a conversation here, and hopefully we can continue this engagement into 2021 when, we know the stakes every day just get higher and higher. And for us to be able to be working together, having, watching this chat, having these conversations is so huge. So I am so delighted for everything that's happened today, and that it's already 7:45 here at the East Coast and people are still, pushing forward on this. It's absolutely amazing. So Kudos to everybody who's stuck through this program and participated. And I put my email out here. I just want to say, like, as a sponsor and a funder of this program, there are so many amazing ideas that have been discussed, and even in this last, hour or so, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is the exact conversation I'm so proud we were able to support and keep going today, Alejandro. And thank you so much for all of your work on this. It's been amazing.
Of course. And thank you to everyone that tuned in today for today's program, for joining on Twitter. CJ just sent me a message, and we were going to be announcing the winner of the holiday tequila package tomorrow on the HTTP Twitter and Instagram. So make sure to follow us so that we can know where to send you guys that care package. Please remember to follow us at HTTP_policy on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll be sending out an email tomorrow with the full length versions of today's conversation. Please share them with your networks, help us keep the conversation going. And remember to tune into the conversation, stay connected, and speak out, because the future needs our help. So until next time.